Hello, my name is Luca Dell'Anna. I am a management advisor with over 10 years of experience helping my clients increase their profitability through the level of better people development. And over the next 5 minutes, I will cover how you can train your people to be high agency. High agency people get things done, even in the presence of obstacles and unknowns. They constantly look for a way forward and they own their mistakes and outcomes. Conversely, low agency people follow the default path. When faced with an obstacle, they wait to be told what to do. Because they only work on someone else's to-do list, they do not own their mistakes or outcomes. Obviously, you would like your team to be high agency. However, most managers believe that agency is not a trainable trait, and that hiring is the only way to increase the agency of their team members. They are wrong. Not on hiring, that is still the most effective way to get high agency people in your team, but on whether agency is trainable. It is trainable, at least in some measure. You just need to know how to do it. And in fact, it is precisely because most managers do not know how to do it that it looks like it's untrainable. The trick is in understanding how agency works. Eric Weinstein once said, "When you are told that something is impossible, is that the end of the conversation, or does that start a second dialogue in your mind how to get around whoever it is that just told you that you cannot do something?" Having that second dialogue is an action, albeit a mental one, and like any action, it is gated by motivation. In other words, you have this second dialogue only if you believe it is worth having it, which depends on your previous experiences with having had that second dialogue. If someone has low agency, it is usually because, in the past, having that second dialogue led to bad experiences. Perhaps they did something high agency and yet received some bad feedback. Or perhaps they did something high agency but no one noticed. Either way, they learn that having high agency is not worth the effort. So, they rationally adapted into behaving the low agency way. Understanding how people became low agency is key to guiding them into becoming high agency. In fact, you teach high agency by letting your people experience that having this second dialogue leads to good outcomes. So first, let me tell you how I would do it in an idyllic world. I would begin by assigning one of my subordinates the smallest task requiring agency that I can think of. It has to be job-related and meaningful, but it does not have to be big. In fact, the smaller the better. For example, find the 2 ways in which we can lower our costs and then verify their feasibility. Then I would say very explicitly that I expect them to use agency. For example, I expect you to tackle any unexpected problems. I would also make a concrete example illustrating the previous point. For example, if you do not know how to do any part of the task, I expect you to Google that, and only if Google doesn't have the answer, ask a colleague. Then I will get them to work on the task. And finally, when they complete the task, I would acknowledge their successful outcome, specifically pointing out my appreciation for their display of agency. This teaches them not only that they have the skills to be high agency, but also that being high agency is worth the effort. Bam! That's it. Doing this a few times with each of your subordinates should be enough to transform 30 to 80% of them into high agency people. The problem is that in the real world, if you ask low agency people to do something high agency, they might still try to do it the low agency way. Hence, here are 3 things that you should be paying attention to. 1. The task must be as simple and easy as possible. Of course, it should still be relevant to their job and require some agency, so do not come up with a trivial task. However, it should be something that ideally they can complete in no more than a couple of hours. The larger the task, the higher the chances that they fall back into low agency mode. 2. You should be extremely explicit and specific in your request for them to be in high agency mode while completing the task. Give them a few concrete examples of what completing the task in low agency mode will look like and tell them that it will not be enough. For instance, if the task you assigned was to invite a client to a customer event you are organizing, you can say something along the lines of, "Just inviting the client to our event is not enough. You must also make sure that they read and accept the invitation. And if they really cannot come, find ways to set up a later meeting with them. No excuses." 3. Follow up with them frequently, while at the same time avoid micromanaging them. Ask them how it's going. But if they face any obstacle, do not solve it for them. Just encourage them and repeat your expectations that they will overcome it. If you follow the 3 points, the chances that you succeed are very high. It will not work all the time, it will not work with all of your employees, but it will work enough of the time with enough of your employees to make it worth trying. Keep in mind at all times that low agency is a learned reaction to a past experience that taught your people that it is not worth the time and effort to be high agency. And your job is to make them undergo experiences that teach them the opposite. Thank you very much, and you can always find more information about how to better grow and develop your people on my website, luca-dellanna.com with double L and double N. Thank you very much.